Hello, everyone. It's Hyde in the Philippines. Today, I'd like to talk about guilt, shame, and embarrassment. It's usually rolled all into one ball, but we're going to talk about it a little bit. Now, I rarely experience these things myself, but I'm not immune from it. And I'll expound my first day at work at my new job. I went in and I had to get my packet. Just like any other place you go in, they give you your insurance. You got to fill out a bunch of stuff. Now, when I went in there, it was an open area and there was like four women sitting there, and then there was an open door over there, which was the owner, who happens to be female. And it takes about 30 minutes to do all this stuff, so I'm filling out, and they're asking me questions about this and that. And then somebody asked me, do I ever travel? And I mentioned that I had just got back from the Philippines. Now, the minute I said I had just got back from the Philippines, that like a lion pack, the lionesses, they all turned this way, all of them at the same time, and were looking at me. And the lead one, she was like, we heard about that, a bunch of you dirty old men going over there getting yourselves young women and then bringing them back here and turning them into slaves. And I was like, it was venomous, the way it came off. And I was like, wow. I didn't want to have this conversation because it was, I'd have to point out, well, you're one of the reasons why most of us are leaving. You and these women here are just, yes, you're the reason we're hitting the road. Anyway, I dodged that bullet, and I just pointed at my fangs and I said, well, look, miss, I didn't go there for that. I went to go get my teeth fixed. I paid a fraction of the price that I would actually have to pay here in the States. I said, well, while I was over there, I saw quite a few older fellows with younger women, and they actually look pretty happy. And there was another, how bad, and I just left it at that. I, this narrative, you only get that from the women. It they don't want us. Okay, these women don't want us. I've been here long enough, and nobody wants me. So if I went somewhere else, now I'm being cast into a different light because I found a different way. I was like, well, you don't want me. I'm going to go somewhere where they do want me. So now I'm a perverted old man. You know, okay, fine. You can throw me that, but it's not going to stick. Now the men, on the other hand, when you bring this up to the men, they're mostly, for the most part, they're encouraging. Because they get it. They're out there, trying to get themselves hooked up with women and coming across. And I listen to them talk about these dates they go on. I'm 60 almost, and I listen to these young. I work with mostly young guys, 20s, early 20s, early 30s, that type of thing, and they're talking about these dates, and they sound terrible. All the things that they have to do for these people and what they get in return. Anyway, but what I'm getting at is when I bring this up to the men, they're mostly encouraged. I get the jokes. They try and throw the joy, and it's always the same joke. You're going to go over there, you're going to end up with a non woman, and you know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Now, for real, that could happen to you. You could get over there, and some of these men have had, breast augmentation, and they are some of the most beautiful men you've ever seen in your life, and you would not know unless somebody told you. Because I myself have been out with friends, and seen what I thought was a beautiful woman, and they catch my gaze and be like, "Hey, that's a man." I'd be like, "What? Fucking bravo, well done, sir." I mean, so, and I even know of a guy that he went over there. It was his first time over in the Philippines. He met a beautiful female, and they were getting along just fine. They'd been hanging out for about 4 or 5 days. They went on a trip, with some friends, and they ended up going out to dinner. And that's when it was disclosed. One of the females at the table asked where this person had got their work done, and it was at this moment that this guy, was informed that this was not a woman, that it was a man. Now you'd be like, well, how? I saw her. I saw her. Okay, she had the augmentation, and he said they never actually went all the way that there was, because she claimed that she was menstruating and could not, but, they did other things. And, I'm not going to elaborate on that, but I'm just saying this guy was devastated. I mean, it rocked him, because he liked this person. Come to find out, it's not a female. Woo. So I mean, don't get it twisted. It could happen. You make some Philippine friends. If anything, I'm telling you right there about that is you need to make some Philippine friends so somebody could clue you in. Because some of you guys drink, I don't drink, and if you're out there drinking and you're getting them beer goggles on, oh man, you know. Uh, but I find most of these jokes that are cast at me are just based in ignorance, and I get to at that point make it an educational moment. Plead my case and why I'm doing what I'm doing. I can easily say, you know, uh, how's the dating market doing for you, bro? How are you faring out there? What kind of women are you attracting? And they'll look at their shoes and go, it's hard going out there. And the guys, it's always funny. The guys that are poking at me the hardest, you can tell they're asking the most questions, and you can see them taking mental notes too. They're like, man, this guy's saying things that resonate with me because I am. I have a positive attitude now. When I'm walking out and about, especially when I'm at work, I know that there's going to be a finality to this job. It's one of those things where I'm walking around, I'm smiling because I know at the finish line what I'm going to is fantastic. But I made that happen for myself because I didn't want to give in to any of that shame, embarrassment, or guilt. I just was like, I don't give a fuck. You say whatever you want. I want some happiness. You know, and that's what I want to get at about the shame, embarrassment, and guilt. Now I don't care who you are or where you're from or what your problem is. You know, I myself, I didn't get a date for a long time, and I would get all these helpful hints. And I'm sure it happens to you. That's where the gate, the shame, embarrassment. If you weren't so fat, or if you had better teeth, a better car, more money. It's always something that eliminates you from the dating pool. When the fact is the dating pool would eliminate you even if you had all that stuff. But let's just say, you take this advice and you go out there and you work out and you start looking good and you get a better car and you're out there in the dating atmosphere and you're dating these women and you're meeting women and you've had to do all these things to make yourself presentable. Now, what has this woman done to be worthy of that? I mean, for real, you know. And God forbid, man, you should say the words. What do you bring to the table? If you speak, I mean, if you dare speak those words out loud, I mean, they've got a list with all kinds of just unkind labels to say about you for even bringing that up. Like what one of my best questions I would say to any of you guys out there is ask this woman, that you're sitting across from. Hey, can you cook? Simple question. Can you cook? And if the answer is no, I don't like to cook. Well, just think about this. You've just invited some work into your life. This woman can't cook. She won't cook. So now you got to do all the cooking or providing of the food, buying it, going out. Fuck, man. You've just invited some work into your life. Now, let's say, like myself, I love to cook, you know, but the joy is going to rapidly dissipate out of that if I've got to do it as a job. If I've got to come home from wherever I've been slaving at all day and then I got to cook the food too. Okay, well, I was taught how to be a man. It was drilled in me from the time I was small, how a man's supposed to act, walk, and talk. We were taught that. Now, somewhere along the line, the women have been, were failed. The women have been failed because nobody's teaching them how to be a wife. Some basic wife stuff. I'm not saying that you need to be a slave. That's not what I'm getting at. But a participant in what goes on in the house. You know, you just can't bring sex to the table. It's got to be far more than that. Now, one of the other things I noticed it here, a lot of these women that are claiming that you need to, fulfill this imaginary list. Most of these women, man, did you see the car that she pulled up in? What's the house she living in? You know, is she broke? Are you her retirement plan? Is that what's going on? She's just sifting through to find her a nice looking older dude that she could take advantage of. Well, I'm not going to be anybody's retirement plan. I have no uh, intention of serving out my retirement in misery and servitude to some woman just because I don't want to be alone. I'll just get another dog. It's just not worth it. The lemon's not worth the squeeze. You if you're not bringing some joy and peace and help into my life, and it's just not going to work for me. So I reject that reality and I substitute my own. I couldn't get what I needed here, so regardless of the embarrassment, shame, and guilt, I decided I wanted some happiness, and I wasn't promised happiness, but the brochure said that perhaps in the Philippines I might be able to find it on a sandy beach somewhere. Okay. Well, I listen to all the BS, and but now it's not BS because I found out most of that stuff was true. And regardless of me getting my teeth fixed, okay, I don't care who you are, where you're sitting at, what you look like. My very first story is about that Norwegian dude with the big ass hump on his back. He was no prize winner, but he had the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. uh that ratio, like I was like, oh my God. So I don't care who you are. If you're fat, you got a lazy eye, you're bald, or you're missing an ear, missing some fingers, got a stub for an arm. There is somebody over there in the Philippines that is going to accept you for who you are. Now I know you can't believe that because of all the slings and arrows you've suffered here, but if you've made it all the way this far, buy a ticket and just go over there for a couple weeks and see if I'm a liar. If I'm a liar, I'm a liar. But my third trip is coming up here very soon, and I'm all in. Okay, do not let shame, embarrassment, and guilt prevent you from finding happiness. Okay, be as good as you can. This is Hyden in the Philippines. Ciao.